Okay. Man, Peter, what a pleasure it is to meet you on this. I watched this, I heard about this film, a couple weeks back, and I was like, wow, I got to talk to this young man about this because I've seen two other people do stories like this on their families, and they've all been gut wrenching, heart tugging, and emotional and engaging, and it's not easy to do that, especially when it takes years. How are you feeling today on this, knowing that what you have done has garnered a bunch of awards, but at the same time, how do you feel about it now?
Well, first of all, thank you for your kind words. This project has been a labor of love. It's been the work of a lifetime for me. I worked on the film for 12 years. I started working on it in 2010, finished it in 2022. Much to my delight, we the film played at 40 film festivals around the world. We won 16 awards, and now we're starting what's called our theatrical run, and we'll be streaming soon as well. We'll be on video on demand soon. But yeah, it's been an incredible experience. We just played for a week in New York City. We're playing in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We're about to open in Los Angeles in movie theaters, and I'm just getting a lot of great reactions from audience members because we all have families, and families all have secrets, family secrets, grief, mourning, healing, and so it has that kind of universal appeal.
I always tell people, uh, man, I've seen some great documentaries the last 6, 7 years. Almost all of them have been good. And I always tell my friends and filmmakers, it takes an average of 7 years to do a documentary,
Yes.
and it's a lot. And it not only the music rights, the marketing, film festivals, all of that stuff. And it's one of those things that appreciate what people have gone through to put this film together. One, it's not easy. Two, some of them didn't realize that they were going to even do this. And sometimes you're looking for closure, and I don't know if you ever get it, but the message in the story is always uh, it's always heartfelt, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm part of a group of filmmakers that meet weekly. It's called the D Word, and it's documentary filmmakers all over the world. And there's so many interesting stories to tell. What I explain to people is that around the time I started making the film in the early 2000s, 2010, there was what I call the great democratization of documentary filmmaking, where HD cameras became affordable, readily available, and for the first time, it really became within reach of the average person to be able to make a film. Now, what I will say is that it's not that expensive to film, to actual film interviews with people, but putting the film together is where the costs come, as you kind of hinted at, where I'm not an editor, for example, so we had a lot of editing costs, and then you have post-production. I chose to include three popular songs in the film to sort of evoke the era of the late 1960s and the early 70s. And licensing songs costs a lot of money, and just making sure that the film looks and sounds great with color correction and sound mixing.
How do you feel now, knowing that it's been completed, it's won some awards, people are seeing it? What's your feeling today, though? Like,
I still feel really excited. I think that the festival process, which is what we did for the last few years, is great. But festivals are only a certain small chunk of the population who go to film festivals. And now I'm really excited that it gets released to the whole world, and even theatrical viewers in movie theaters in New York and LA is also a very small selection of the population. So I'm really excited about what happens when it goes out to North America in general, and everybody can see it. It's a little scary, but I'm pretty excited because we've had really good reviews, and I've had really good audience reactions. So I just hope it connects with people. I hope they tell their friends, and I hope it. You mentioned closure, which isn't really a word that I use so much with death because I think that it's really hard to achieve closure, but I do think that there's a degree of healing that can happen after death, and you can never totally um, heal the wounds of someone, dying, but you can explore it and try to move forward in your life, which is sort of one of the messages of the film.
Talk about going to Vietnam the first time. That's not easy to go to any country. You went to Vietnam. That's a whole nother ball game at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I was a first-time feature documentary filmmaker, and I was about to go to Vietnam in 2016 to film for 5, 6 days, and it was terrifying to me because you have to get a permission, you have to get a visa. I had to get two separate visas. You have to have someone from the government like accompany you as you film. And so it was really a big deal. Fortunately, I got my whole crew in Saigon. They all happened to be there. In fact, my camera person was an American who was living in Saigon at the time. So and when I say Saigon, I mean Ho Chi Minh City, which is the new name for it. But yeah, we got through it. It was really an extremely exciting experience. Vietnamese people are very curious, very energetic, very kind, very thoughtful, helpful. And, when people see the film, they will see this sort of universe of Vietnamese people that surround me to help me try to solve the mysteries in my family.
I'm glad I always say yes to watching films, and I'm glad I always say yes to doing interviews because I had watched, geez, this week alone, I think I watched 17 or 18 films, and a lot of them I watch on my computer. So, but I always want to get the full effect when I could see it again, when I can see it again on the big screen, because that's how they're meant to be shown.
Yes.
What's your feeling after the film festival run? Because that's not easy. And I know what it's like to choose films. I know what it's like to submit them. I know what it's like to have people get the waivers. And then, you can't always travel to all of them. But getting the word back, I can only imagine the happiness you may have felt for that at least, and maybe for your family.
Yeah, I mean, I especially loved going abroad with the film. We really didn't know how people would react because some people said, oh, nobody outside of the US is going to be interested because they don't know about the Vietnam War. But in fact, I found almost the opposite to be true. We premiered in London at the British Film Institute in at South Bank at 2022. All of our screenings were sold out and people were lining up to talk
Wow.
about it afterwards. We our next festival in Europe was in Italy and Torino, Italy, and we won the top award at that festival. Um,
Wow.
and we just kept going around Europe, Greece, Amsterdam, Barcelona, winning awards and really connecting with audiences. And I had people in Greece, Italy, Amsterdam, London. They kept saying, "Oh, this is just like our culture. This is just like our families." You know, family secrets and misunderstandings and sorrow and trying to get to the truth. So I really appreciated that experience, and I hope we can continue to show the film, both in the US and abroad.
What do you say to those families? Because I saw one great film on grief, and I've never forgot it. It's not been released yet. Sometimes I can reach out to the director or the DP of that, and I saw it with Dances with Films. And it bothers me when I see a great film and you want to tell people about it, but you don't know what's always going to go.
Yeah.
Um, I'm heading to Italy. I'm heading to Greece this year based on what's going on in the conditions of that country because of things that, I've been invited to things. So I always want to share films like this with other people, which is what we're supposed to do. When I head to Tennessee this weekend, I'm going to be talking about Jimmy from Saigon,
Hmm.
which will be interesting because I know my friends there will like this, and I know they don't know anything about it. And I did a brief mention last night on our live show about it because it was worth talking about. So again, I have to congratulate with that because I didn't know what I was going to see. I don't watch a trailer. I won't read the notes. I
Hmm.
want to be pleasantly surprised,
I
and I
love
was.
that.
And so I could feel everything that you went into as that filmmaker. And my hat goes off to you and your family because I know that could not have been easy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the process of actually getting a film distributed and out into the world is very difficult, and it requires a lot of strength and a lot of a determination and a lot of patience. So we are just really thrilled that we found Dark Star Pictures, who's is distributing the film, and allowed us to get it out there in actual movie theaters around the country, and also starting to have it available video on demand, pay-per-view very shortly as well. And so yeah, I have a lot of empathy. I have a lot of empathy for independent filmmakers. It's really hard to do, and it's just so satisfying when people can see it in the outside world.
I got three more questions for you.
Okay.
As that filmmaker, which is what you are now, where do you go next, first of all?
Yeah, I have a funny story because when I was in my first film festival in the 90s, I was at a party at the film festival and someone introduced me as a filmmaker, and I said, "Oh, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an arts administrator. I have this job." And they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you made a film in the festival." And I said, "I did." And they were like, "Well, therefore you're a filmmaker." And
Uh-huh.
I was like, "Oh my God, it's possible to be more than one thing at a time." So, this is another message that I send out to people is like you can be more than one thing at a time in your life. Like we have a limited time on this earth. So filmmaking is one thing I do. I don't think I'll make another film for another 3 to 5 years just because this is like having a baby, and I want to like see it out in the world and see how it goes. But I certainly have ideas to make other films, and I really enjoy mentoring and advising other filmmakers, especially on fundraising. Fundraising is my specialty right now. I in my day job, I'm a fundraiser, and I raised $300,000 from 750 donors to make this film. So this is something that
Wow.
I try to share my story with people.
Congratulations. That's usually the hardest part for people. You're a reverse of that. And
Yeah.
yeah, you are a filmmaker because you're supposed to be able to do two things, not one, because we live in a different world now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it used to be, like I said about, the democratization of film. I think that um, it used to be that movies got made by studios, and now anyone can make a movie, and that's beautiful.
Well, what's your advice to people who haven't made their film yet, but want to, because you're coming from the finance world in a way, in the administration world in a way, where they're the artist, and you happen to be all of those now, which is quite interesting. Which is again, congratulations to you because you had no idea, obviously. But look where you are now. What's your advice to those people who are starting out now and want to make a movie?
Well, I mean, if I haven't made a fiction like a narrative fiction film, so I'm not as good with advice for that. But I do think that my overall advice is don't try to do it alone. Surround yourself by people. I always tell people surround yourself by people that you can pay to help you, such as assistants or people such as consultants that you could bring in. I've done both. I brought in consultants and assistants to make this film. If my advice is to documentary filmmakers, I would say start filming. Like, if you have a subject you're interested in, start filming right away because you never know if the situation's going to change or if the person's still going to be around. And I'm really glad I did that. There's definitely footage in my film that's from the very first few days that I started filming in 2010. And I didn't have a budget, I didn't have anything. I just had a camera and sound equipment and I started going. So, yeah, if documentary is what you're after, just start filming. Just make sure the picture is decent, but make sure the sound is great. Um, Beyond that, I tell people to get what's called a fiscal sponsor. I don't know if you've heard that term before, but a fiscal sponsor allows artists to raise money and the donors get a tax deduction for it. So my fiscal sponsor is Film Independent. I advise people to get a fiscal sponsor and a website and take it from there.
How can people reach out and follow the film for one, and the social media links for Jimmy from Ghost of Saigon?
Thank you. Our website is jimmyinsaigon.com, and the Instagram is also Jimmy in Saigon, all one word, and our Facebook page is also Jimmy in Saigon. We'll put updates on all of those about where to watch it. And we'd love to hear from anybody who sees it or wants has questions about it.
All right, so this is the last question. What do you hope the audience gets out of seeing this movie?
Oh, well, I have often been asked if I made this film as a therapy for my family, and I say, if that's a side benefit, that's great, but I wanted to create a work of art, a work of cinematic art. So I hope the audiences feel like they were involved in a cinematic journey, a story that sort of kept them going. And if it helps people to confront um, family issues or secrets or challenging issues in their family. If it helps them do that, that would be amazing. But mostly, I want people to appreciate it as cinematic storytelling.
Well, it is, and congratulations because you did a great job on that. And I want to appreciate you taking the time because, like I said, this was the last movie out of what 17 or 18 that I saw. Like I said, I'm like, wow, this is really good. I'm glad I gave it the time because you don't know what you're seeing. Me, half the time, I'm not looking at the trailers and I'm not reading the notes. I'm like, okay, I got to see this movie. What
I
is
love
it
that.
about?
I love that approach. I think it's great. I try to do that as well, so that have a fresh mind.
And that's how I do it. And again, there's not a lot of us critics, the original ones that go back. We don't have a Rex Reed, we don't have a Siskel and Ebert anymore. That's when I started, and I'm 65, and I'm like, okay, I gotta continue this for people like you who are making great pieces of work. I'm not that filmmaker, but I am that person who's supposed to help promote it. So congratulations on that. Keep doing what you're doing. And I can't don't wait 5 years. Do something the next 2 years. You're good.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. I Encouragement is what keeps filmmakers going, and I often say that. I told some people an idea for another film of mine a few weeks ago, and they said, "You got to do it, do it, do it." And I felt like, "All right, I'll do it."
Well, we live in strange times, and you have to do it because I thought your background was great. I wish I had had your family, just your mom. I
Yeah,
thought that was great. I was never close with my family. I was always the black sheep doing stuff. In the end, I'm the one that everybody wants to be around now.
yeah.
So I was looking at it kind of through that way, if that made sense.
Yeah, no, I feel lucky with our family, and I think that when I grew up, I thought we had a dysfunctional family, but then after starting talking to other people's families, I was like, oh, I think we're pretty good.
Oh,
So
you were. You were. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate what you come out with, and I will continue the word, and I'll talk about it next week on our live show every Tuesday. And I don't stop talking about films. I may go a couple weeks, and then because I do it off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, you know what? You got to see this film. I know it's playing. If you're in those areas, please go out and support the
thank
arts.
you, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.